Video shows the assembly maintenance of a Camry CR7903 dehumidifier. Dehumidifiers must be maintained in the same way as other household appliances. Important: be solely responsible for home maintenance. Safety first. Be sure to disconnect the device from the power supply before disassembly. Do not accidentally leave it plugged into the electrical network. After disconnecting the power, wait 3 to 4 hours before removing the device cover. The heatsink on the cold side of the dehumidifier may still be wet. In the first picture, the operating principle of the dehumidifier is presented in a simple diagram. The device seen in the video has been in continuous operation for 1 year. Saws needed: screwdriver, cross-slotted pH2 and flat, clean brush, denatured alcohol, paper towel, or any wiping cloth, rubber gloves, compressed air. If the device has been in operation for several years but has not yet been cleaned, a heat-conducting paste or thermal pad is also required. In many cases, the thermal conductivity of the factory thermal paste is very low, so it is recommended to replace it with a suitable quality one. Removal of the cross-slotted screws in the place indicated by the arrows. There are 3 screws at the bottom of the device. Removing the cover, it has to be moved a little lower, then it can be easily taken in 2. It should be taken into account that there are 2 wires on the main switch, which are fixed with a sliding shoe with safety pins. You have to press the pin on the sliding shoe slightly and it will come off easily. The attachment of the supply line must be removed. It is worth checking whether the cable is not damaged. If the copper is visible, it must be replaced. Do not rebuild a damaged line. Dust and lint deposits are clearly visible on the casing and inside the device. First, use a brush and a vacuum cleaner to clean the dust on the wires. Do not clean the cooling fin yet. The heatsink part is fixed with 4 screws. On the lower part there is a covering element that also contains the microswitch pressing plastics. It is advisable to fix the plastic pegs with an adhesive tape, so there is less chance of them being left. After removing the screws, you only have to pull off the covering plastic upwards. When fixing the fan and taking the cooling fins in half, you should pay attention to the fact that there is a hooking tab on both the top and the bottom, which can be carefully tightened with the flat screwdriver to unhook it. After disassembly, dust deposits can be seen on the cooling fins and fan. Dust can be easily removed with the help of a brush and a vacuum cleaner. The process of repasting the Peltier-modul can be found in the description of the video. The electronic panel is fixed with 4 screws. The Peltier-modul and the fan control panel are fixed by 2 screws. It must be cleaned, compressed air, brush plus vacuum cleaner, and visually inspected. If there is a visible defect on the panel, it must be repaired. Assembly: when cleaning the cover, if there is heavy dirt, denatured alcohol can be used for cleaning. After cleaning, everything must be screwed back into place. Do not apply excessive torque when tightening the screws, as this may damage the casing. Before each assembly, check that the wires are not pinched and that all parts are present, before fixing the cooling fin. The cover element at the bottom must first be put back in place together with the pressure plastics, and only then can it be unscrewed. For easier cleaning of the back cover, remove the main switch so that the fixing tabs on the side must be pressed together, and then it can be easily removed from its place. For cleaning, it is advisable to use a large plastic container filled with water with a cleaning agent. Care must be taken that the plug does not get into the water. After cleaning, the cover must be dried, or you can wait for it to dry on its own. It may only be rebuilt dry. When assembling the back cover, the main switch must be snapped back into place from the outside. When attaching the power cable, it is advisable to place the cable a little further away so that the already pressed part is not strained. A suitable conductive trench was left in the cable casing. The wires must be placed back on the switch in the original order. When screwing the back cover back on, the sequence is as follows: the lower 3 screws must be inserted first, then the rest. Before putting it into operation, it is necessary to check the supply line. Is it not damaged? The device is switched off. The typical clicking sound can be heard when the tank and level sensor microswitches are activated. The protruding plastic must be gently pressed. After cleaning, disinfection, the condensate tank can be assembled and put back in its place. After that, you can connect the device to the electrical network and turn it on. If everything is fine, there is a green feedback under the inscription "On." The container must be pulled out and then the device must stop. Finally, with the help of a thermometer, infrared or feeler is also good. There should already be a measurable difference between the incoming and outgoing air after half a minute of operation. You can also feel the temperature difference by hand, but it takes 3 to 4 minutes of operation for the outgoing air to be sufficiently warm. If there is no perceptible, measurable temperature difference, then the Peltier-module or the electronics controlling it have failed. In such a case, the device must be treated as electronic waste and handed over to the nearest electronic waste handler. Parts can be replaced at your own risk by a suitably qualified specialist.